Okay. Merry Christmas Eve, everybody. Uh, while we wait, or people watching the VOD wanting things, Hashire Soryo Kazeo no ni. I butchered that because I don't know Japanese, but point is, Podaru, Podaru. Uh, if you know the dead meme, you know the dead meme. Uh, let's make sure that I know what I'm doing because I don't. Because I'm rusty and bad at this. Uh, yeah, Merry Christmas Eve from Andrew and his, and from mine and myself to you and yours. Hope you all have a great Christmas if you choose to celebrate. If not, I don't know, enjoy movies and mm, Chinese restaurants or like restaurants that are open, which here in the U.S. that tends to be the case. Anyways, let's go. Oh, hi Dex. Um, there we go. I remember what I'm doing. Um, let me. Whoops, screwed things up here. Um, yeah, yeah. It wouldn't be a two accounts one gap uh thing without me screwing things up and butchering things with good old Google Sheets. So, I figured I'd throw my measly little opinion out on this silly topic. Honey and PayPal. Everybody's like, ah, Honey's scamming people. This is terrible news. And I'll leave that up to you to figure out. I mean, shoot, we'll do something if I can spell correctly. Dude, yeah, update on the day. But today, these days like these, when it comes to holidays, traditionally low trading volume. So anything could happen. So even if this thing were down like 5-10%, I would shrug my shoulders and say low volume trading day. No, shoot, it wasn't even anywhere near full day because market close. It's like half day. Um, So, again, stock price can do whatever it does. So, just because it's green doesn't necessarily mean that if I were a potential PayPal shareholder or wanting to invest, I do one way or the other purely based off of the whims of today. That's just my opinion. Plenty of money to be made or lost doing whatever. But, 5 day, because I forgot the drama, the news. I want to say it was like yesterday. And for those that don't know, obviously, Christmas Eve, December 24th, 2024. So I believe that the news came out somewhere around December 23rd. Obviously, day before. But this isn't me also to gloat around either, because I've been asked on other people's YouTube channels and other places what my opinions on PayPal were. Uh, Generally speaking, my default was I don't see it. It's not for me, not my style. I had concerns, and turns out, at least from a year to date bro perspective, but since the year's almost over, I think year to date is plenty valid. Safe to say, thus far, I've been wrong. I missed out on respectable performance year to date. Plenty of times for people to have bought in and enjoyed it, but then again, though, again, in my opinion, go with what you know. And this wasn't. Oh shoot, am I not sharing this? I'm not sharing this because I'm incompetent. Um, Gosh darn. Lol, Lamau, laugh at streamer fail. Uh, to window. There we go. There we go. Yeah, Lol Lamau. All right, so here we go. Yeah, PayPal, respectable year as far as performance goes. Naturally, year to date, quite respectable. So everyone pointing left at me. There's the one day. Again, I I don't put much stock on the one day. Again, if it dropped whatever arbitrary percent for it to be meaningful, it's come on, half day of trading. We're really gonna base like huge amounts of opinion on that. Me personally, I'm not one way or the other. But again, if the drama came out somewhere around here, um, again, who cares? What I care about is the fundamentals, and hopefully you kind of do too. So, um, good old SEC Edgar, PayPal Holdings on the company search. I just pulled up the 10K and 10Q because I am lazy. 10K. How did I find out what I'm going to share with Honey? I just good old search bar, Honey. There's only two choices. One entry for Honey falls under trademarks and trade names, blah blah blah, as expected. And the other one, which is very helpful of PayPal, it falls under revenues from other value-added services, which is nice because in the case of anyone on the sidelines or if they have money related to PayPal, you would care about like, hey, if this is the brand that is damaged, then let's take a look at how things go going forward. Now, the other nice thing about PayPal is, they say revenues from other value-added services. Honey happens to be in there, and if we wanted to, be responsible and read it all the way through, um, da, 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 they basically say that revenues from other value-added services not only includes like some fees as well as some operating things like interest rates with their loan portfolio, but also the partnerships, which is what people are harping on right now. Um, and if we look at it, again, this is last year's. Uh, that's not it. It's down, down. Darn it. Hold on. Value add. Professional streamer here. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I joke. Um, Shoot, they had it because I know it's in the quarterly and value added services. There we go. Revenues from other value added services. Boom, right there. And they also have total revenues. So what do we do here at a negative 2A1G special? A little bit of basic accounting. And I mean like noob level. So one of the noob level things that you'll want to do is think of things as part and whole. Uh, for example, gross margins, uh, you know, very, very basic to relatively easy to understand conceptual thing that is oftentimes in many financial statements. Um, and voila, we have the revenue annualized from other services. If we want to be draconian, this is not fair. This is wrong. What I'm doing here is deliberately wrong, but I also figured that it's draconian, but with a sloppy and stupid argument. Uh, Draconian in that, oh well, if honey's bad, then let's just write off all of this, and we'll go from there and shoot it down and figure out what's the damage. So again, there's our revenue in millions. Just being a little lazy there, just didn't want to punch out all the zeros. So 2914 in millions, 2914 in millions. Total rev. You know, Matches up. Make sure that you're not being extra stupid. Matches up. Um, Net income, just again, try and show my work. Make sure that I'm not being extra dumb. There we go. This is all on the 10K. And the 10Q was the one for that they released. I want to say in September. Sort of wanted to say. Oh, October. My bad. Ba, 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 ba. This one was yeah. This one they do a nice bar graph thing. And I think I could have sworn they had a bar graph in the 10K, but for whatever reason, user error, just couldn't seem to find it. So I just did it off of a quarterly perspective. Uh, 7847 in million total rev, total rev 780. Bada boom, bada bing. So you know, it's not that big. Like if you visualize it, this isn't that big. Why the hell are we bitching and complaining over a little sliver over all of the revenue? Which fair point, fair point. Um, but at the same time, from a net income perspective, maybe that changes things because some may argue, well, what's material? Because the trade-off when it comes to any sort of accounting or audit would be, you want to be as open as you can with information, but also there's that trade-off of, well, you can't, like there's a time constraint also. So, like, is an audit team or should an audit team, internal or external or otherwise, like, hunt someone down because $1.23 is unaccounted for somehow, some way, or like, and we're talking about a company that operates in millions of dollars. That maybe is a little silly. Um, so like that doesn't necessarily mean that um, should torpedo everything and be overly harsh. But da, guy can spell. There we go. Yeah. So again, continuing to show my work. Blah blah for the Q3. Um, and again with this, thankfully they have it there as well for net income right there. Which for these guys, I just went PW Price Waterhouse Coopers. Oh, one word. Bloop. There's your auditor's opinion. Well, the bottom of it, and bada boom, bada bing. There we go. Numbers line up. No major discrepancies found. Nothing to report there. So, from a perspective of total revenue, 10% roughly, like, or just a shade under 10%, seems like a big deal. But you visualize it. Is it that big a deal? But then if you go, based off net income, because uh, showing my work here, being stupid with Excel or not Excel, but Google Sheets, large percentage, meaningful. And the thing that is worthy of note is maybe there's a seasonal component, and when the upcoming annualized financial statements come out, um, maybe this is just a bit of lumpiness, and this is not a big deal. But we are seeing growth here, and this is a component of it. Um, so make of that what you will. Because like I've heard before, and I can't remember who said it, but like the arbitrary material threshold was like 5% of net income. So you know, take that, multiply by that. What's 5% of this number? Ah, you know, same over here. Um, and obviously, these numbers from Honey are, well, technically value add related services, are far bigger. That being said, though, I wasn't able to find anything that purely said just honey, and you know, because the interest component and the other uh, like fees that are related to that definition of value add, like that's got also got to be pretty darn big. Like that's got to be a pretty big proportion of this subsection. So, to counter my own argument here of, oh, honey's a big deal or value add services are a big deal. Um, like, let's keeping things in perspective would be quite important. So, again, if you think there's something there, act accordingly, but hopefully do so responsibly as far as like how you manage everything. But in my case, choosing to completely, sit this one out, stand on the sidelines, and just see what happens. Um, I would imagine though that there'll be some sort of lawsuit, and it won't be great. But um, odds are, many times things tend to end in a settlement. But yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, that's all I really got on that topic. I guess more of a, hey, let's wait and see. Um, so, anyways, hey, Dex, you slept the sleep of a thousand sleeps. That's good. Good on you. Good on you. That's very important. Sleep is very nice. Rot Lamafafo. Very nice. Crocs went down tonight. That means PayPal is better. Yes, yes. Did Crocs actually go down? I mean, such a bad shareholder. Full disclosure. Yeah, it was a little down. But it is what it is. So does this make it a short? I would say I don't know. Um, because if we were to be like to counter my own counters, like this entire thing, this entire uh earlier part of the live stream, uh I believe PayPal acquired Honey. That's what I want to say. Um, because I know that PayPal has been acquiring companies, and like for any of us that care about any sort of like fundamentals with companies, that gets parked on the balance sheet as goodwill, obviously, and an impairment expense may be a non-cash related expense, but no one wants to see goodwill impairments. Like there are reasons why companies like fall with goodwill impairments, even though it doesn't necessarily impact cash flows. Because like that's one of the difficult things to balance out. Because I understand some people like hate and distrust accountants. And that's fair. That's completely understandable. Some people hate lawyers. Lots of people hate lawyers. you know, understandable. What I will say is that it's more so though that like people hate accountants, sure, but they'll be like, all right, so the income statement is stupid because it's all about the here in the US the gap accounting standards, or like there can be accounting shenanigans on when you recognize expenses or revenues, and you can try and be a little squirrely there. Some people will say, oh, the cash flow statement is all we care about. If I could have one, if I could have one financial statement, it would just be the cash flow statement. I am so smart because cash don't lie. Uh, and if you want your life that way, maybe you do okay. But at the same time, though, the you know, a non-cash expense such as a goodwill impairment means something, and you know, maybe market participants have already priced that in, and if you wanted to express something bearish, you should account for that. Be aware of that if you assume that fundamentals matter. Um, and if you're not, then technical analysis. Yeehaw! Let's go. Uh, would Santa use GAAP instead of IFRS if Trump was? Oh gosh. I have no idea. I have no idea. I buying Greenland. Why? Like from a national security perspective, I'm aware that there's a base that the U.S. has up in Greenland, at least like one. Um, again, why? Like, Oh well, whatever. El Bobo coffee. Thank you, Dex. The honey scam made me much more bullish on PayPal. Stealing ad revenue, completely new business model. What I think it was is the way how like the well, if we are to call it a scam, because I've never had an association with honey or anything like that. I believe the claims are that because I only saw the video once. The claims were that like content creators, partner or influencers, whatever the hell you want to call people. They had a partnership with Honey. They were supposed to get some sort of revenue split in that you'd use an affiliated code, and in theory, the affiliated code was supposed to get Honey a cut as well as the content creator. But what apparently was the case was that Honey would like do everything in his power to have their own code, like completely hijack the whole process or something to that effect. So that way, when it came to checkout or transaction, it would be Honey and by extension PayPal that would collect any related revenues, and your favorite influencer or content creator of choice got nothing, or more or less. So uh, again, it certainly is not good from a public perception idea, and how far this extends, I don't know. Um, I think it would be incredibly unnecessarily draconian also for anyone to be like, "Oh, I can see their balance sheet. I see the goodwill. Let's just mark it all to zero." Like, no, no, don't do that. It's a horrible idea. Uh, like, don't get me wrong, I'm all for the principle of conservatism. I'm all for being draconian from time to time, but like if you're gonna try and care about fundamentals, being careful on where and when and how you choose to like plant your flag on what hill uh, is a good idea. At least when it comes to business and life, I imagine. But what do I know? Um, oh, hi, Fuhet. Merry Christmas Eve. Buying the gifts. That is a good question, Dex. That one is definitely one for the lawyers because I haven't read through any of the fine print or any of the details. And even then, do I would I know what I'm doing? Do I have a background in law? No, not really. Nothing to really seriously speak of. So that's that really. Like I don't want to necessarily stretch this thing out longer than it absolutely has to, but I'm content with just chilling and vibing with everyone in here. But uh, now I wanted to uh, talk a little bit about something that's relatively vaguely accounting related. um, and hopefully that helps because like you would be surprised uh, as far as like entry level like college classes, accounting 101 or some equivalent, and 102 some equivalent, how often that gets done. And for whatever reason, some people like naturally instinctively get it, others it takes a while. And hopefully this is a real life use, relatively real life use case, uh ish. um and it's an incomplete one because like a 10K 10Q, uh like we're looking at a company with only one perspective, and the perspective is basically like you're in an airplane flying pretty darn high up there, and it's a jet airplane. And like, yeah, you could get a lay of the land, but would you feel comfortable necessarily in saying how life is on the ground? I mean, purely based off that, no, I wouldn't. But yeah, yeah. Oh no, don't cry, Dex. But yes, yes, yay, yay, negative 2A1G. In this case, yes, it definitely is negative 2A1G because I figured I wanted to do something impromptu. Had some free time. wanted to do it. Um, Thank you, McBuda T. As a resident fat person, I fully agree. Cardio is hardio. 10K is not fun, but you know, health is important, and cardio is one of those components that I've been neglecting. Uh, but uh, but yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, McBuda T. Fuhat says hi. Didn't ping you, but says hi. McBubba misspelled, but I assume, and also misspelled. I love it. The misspellings. Um. Oh no, 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 no. I've been dirty bulking this holiday season. Uh, so yeah, yeah. That's my noobish, really quick and hasty glance at a topic that's been going around. I don't expect this thing to get any traction or to go viral or anything like that. Just figured I'd do something out there. And I guess actually maybe that would be a good framework because I know one of the things I was asked is something from a more entrepreneur perspective where uh someone wanted to like make financial statements. um and if you're like a young or relatively young entrepreneur or you have a pretty darn young company, um companies do all sorts of things like, and I'm talking like purely in the realm of like legal activities. Like hell, I can't remember what it was. I want to say like didn't Nintendo, before they even like made it big as the video game publisher, developer, console maker that everybody knows of or is aware of, they also had like a business with like either hotels or taxis or other stuff. Uh oh no. No, no. No. No, stop. Stop, chat, please. No. No. I will make this stop. I will out cringe the cringe behavior with singing. Um but yeah, like I get it. I respect it. Like a company, a young company could do something like, I don't know, lawn care and also like snow removal. Two separate segments. Um thank you, Dex. Yes, it's a no stop or stop no please because no one wants to hear me sing. Account. In my case, thankfully, no, no, thank you. Uh, no, I was not actually going to sing that, Fuhat. It was actually going to be something festive if you guys kept it going. Um, Kid Cudi's Day and Night. Uh, but so yeah, we can laugh at my failures as a content creator. Um, Plenty of things that I've missed out and gotten wrong or expressed wrong opinions on all throughout the year, and that's cool. That's good. Learn some things along the way. Um, the thing that I've noticed though is that the crypto assets and liabilities that PayPal holds on behalf of other like of their customers. So I'm not saying that like PayPal is going to immediately get torpedoed, but like their business model is at least on some level related to you know transactions, and if crypto is a big component, that could be a thing to be aware of. If I were to be some sort of like value person who's like, oh, PayPal was cheap, I'm holding it because it was cheap. Uh, but again, crypto can do whatever it does. I'm not here to necessarily yuck on anyone's yum. It's just more of I have my reasons to be cautious, and I'm cautious, but I hope everyone does all right and is safe and happy. Yeah, it's about as fence sitter as it gets. So yeah, fence sitter Christmas. hopefully you all have a great Christmas day and Christmas Eve, um, and have a great year. I don't know. Do I want to talk about another thing that I think is somewhat useful? Ah, screw it. I'll do it. I'll do it. Something I think that is useful to do, which would be in the realm of like trying to improve yourself if you wanted to try and like analyze companies and their financials, is to have a journal. Um, and let me see if I have it. Do. Yeah, I still have it. I still have it. Um, yeah, there's a website called Journalytic, and I've thought that it was nice, um, and useful. Um, I'm not sponsored by them, and again, I have no idea when it comes to like the legitimacy or how good things are, or whether people should be suspicious or not. But yeah, like, and again, you don't necessarily need to use Journalytic. Just having a journal and somewhere and being able to revisit things is very, very nice. And for those that uh, know me outside of this YouTube channel, or at least a little aware of me, you'll notice that I don't necessarily pitch companies. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong. I'll list out some of the things that I notice as far as things that I think are strong or promising, or ways that I could like outcomes that I could see working out, as well as some risks. Uh, but I think I like the ability to provide people like either a rough timeline, or at least provide people info of how I got to what I'm thinking and what I'm seeing. And hopefully people will provide, if they provide a counter, which I hope that they do, in a respectful and helpful way. Um, that it's done, so that way I can see something that I've missed, because that's very, very important. Um, and that goes in multiple ways, because I'm not a big sales guy. I'm not one to necessarily hype things up. Um, but you know, um, yeah. I think journaling has been very, very helpful, because what I'll often do when it comes to journals is I'll mark down ideas and any sort of like info or interaction I can have with the person to expand upon their ideas and what they're seeing. Um, I'll try and include that too. Um, and I think it's nice because it's an informal way of like trying to vet someone. Because like if I'll pick someone random from the chat. McBuddha tea. If I were new to McBuddha tea and say, McBuddha tea, what sort of company or stock or trade idea or investment idea do you have? And he pitches me something, and I blindly follow. And if it doesn't work out, or I was unclear and didn't annotate what sort of like timeline he's envisioning, or what sort of like strengths, weaknesses, or risks that are visible, then if I don't have a process of like documenting things and like keeping track of things, then maybe it would be unfair to say, "Oh, McBuddha T is completely trash. He's horrible." Or maybe also, and this one's harder. Trying to evaluate a good win, because that also is very difficult. Um, so it's nice. So yeah, journaling, notebooking, diary of sorts, whatever the hell you want to call it. Yeah, I think it's been very useful. Hopefully, people consider it and take it into account, because like, yeah. Well, I mean, it's it's one part useful because of that, but also like the other thing though is you would need to at least revisit these things and consider consider some reflection. I think is very important because if you don't do it, if you just write it down, you just have like a long story. Uh, which like maybe it's nice to just like release your feelings and have your feelings expressed in a way that's not really destructive or violent. So there's that health component. But in my case, my specific case, I think that um, it's nice to revisit things roughly once every quarter or every 2 quarters. Certainly, one at the end of the year. That is one tradition that I like to do is try and revisit uh, all sorts of wonderful screw ups that I've made along the way, and hopefully any sort of improvements that can be made. But yeah, yeah. So. Let me see what else. What's my current Crocs allocation for my active account? It's still sitting around 5%. Fair disclosure. Um, that's just because of the parts that I have like rebalanced, and by definition had to sell some. Their the cost basis. I bought Crocs in tranches, man. It seems like the highest tranche is what's sitting, which is fine. It can sit, it can do whatever. um, VTubing. Silly foo hat. Yeah, actually, I still have a limit order on it. It seems like it's done really well, but at the same time, though, that volume was so freaking low. The bid ask spread was pretty wide, at least on the ADRs. So like I feel like that one had to be done that way, and yeah, again, we'll see what happens. Because there may be signs that there are legitimate concerns on the business front on those companies. Because like I've noticed when it comes to that space, the talent or the content creators themselves, uh, some of them from smaller company ones to some indies, they'll be like, oh, the corporate ones, like as soon as you go public, a company goes down the trash, and uh, fair or not, in some cases, that's not always the case. I think just because with I don't want to use them as the boogeyman, but there are some private equity companies, but not just private equity. You can have hedge fund managers, you can have activist investors, you can have all sorts of different types of market participants buying up ownership in private companies and have those companies go down the tubes. Hell, you could even have private companies that have been around for quite some time. And legitimate criticism should be levied. One of the hobby things that I have is like I tend to enjoy some multi tools, and there are legitimate criticisms at private companies. The two Some of the two biggest ones, Leatherman Group, and the company that makes Swiss Army knives, Victorinox. It's funny because the criticisms are kind of like different. Uh, and these are pretty old established companies like of actual size where if they went public I wouldn't be that shocked, but they're having legitimate criticisms levied against them, and they're not publicly traded. One of the criticisms I think with Leatherman is uh, the quality control for the newer products or products that come out fresh out of the box have some difficulties, such as like stiffness or inconsistent spring tension, or the the any sort of like retaining screws or pins can be over tight, uh, or improper lubrication of the plier heads for their plier based multi tools. Victorinox has amazing quality controls, but there have been legitimate criticisms of people saying, "Hey, what about like innovation? You're not really innovating on your core product. It's all been side stuff." Um, and again, to my knowledge, those companies private. Um, so I think maybe there's also like an age component to companies as well as a size component. Probably size more than anything else. As the company grows and gets bigger and bigger, it's harder to manage things. And what got you from one stage to another, size does matter, and how you manage things. You will need to put systems in place, but at the same time, you don't want the systems to ruin innovation, uh, and you don't want innovation to ruin your company, because that's also happened. Um, so all sorts of things to look out for. Uh, uh, Meme coin accounting, journal tube. No, 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 nothing for the hub. Um, if the 10K is like the company's journal, what would be the private person's equivalent of an earnings call? Hmm, I don't know. Person's tweet, person's social media post, and not everybody has to do that. Just like how I am aware of at least one company that doesn't even do earnings calls and is publicly traded here in the U.S. Yeah, that's a nice thing to be aware of. Is earnings calls don't necessarily have to happen, and I'm also aware of another company that has managed earnings calls where it's like pre-recording release. Please send us your questions, and then they'll have a curated, selected, recorded Q&A, and they'll release it after. So again, not every company does everything the exact same way, even when they're publicly traded. Um, Notebook, let me know. LLM. Oh, no, thank you. No, thank you. I'm a relatively simple guy, so keyboard and paper can certainly work. It's worked for me. Oh my god. Um, all my stocks go up. It is your fault. You buy them, Marcel. Oh, don't do that. You're gonna hurt Dex. Merry Christmas, Kale. Merry Christmas Eve in this case, but Merry Christmas and Christmas Eve. Add lasers and Bluetooth innovation. Okay, alrighty, sweet. Actually, Kale is one of the people that I am aware of that knows quite a lot about the tools space, to include multi tools and otherwise. Yeah, you think a lot about QC stuff. I think a lot of modern products are not of quality. Sadly, I think that is the case, and I don't mean to like bully the multi tool or any sort of like set aside the tool industry and expand the criticism. I honestly think a lot of quality has decreased in a lot of things, and that is a shame when it comes to actual like a physical good or an actual service, and it makes me sad. um like I get it that we as investors do care about efficiency. Like there is no way around that. Like profit, yeah, you care about crop profit, but at the same time though, like I don't think any investor that cares about a company or holding a company for the long term um, would want a company to cut to the point that they cut bone. Like that's just stupid. Like why? Like you want to do layoffs and when that's not the solution. That's like just cutting off a healthy arm. Like that's stupid. Why would you do that? um but yeah, yeah. Thor Industries die, no EC. uh or does no earnings call. Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, Thor Industries, they don't. Um, yeah, no earnings call from them, and they're publicly traded. Yeah, that's right. There's another one. Um, but yeah. So, hmm, yeah, that's all I got. I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking that hopefully I could maybe snag Jesse on, because I know that he's working on fine tuning and updating a model. Like he already has a working model. That I have no doubt. But like Uh, I know that he's certainly made at least one, and maybe that would be a thing that would be cool to have him on, and he can do a little bit of plugging. Also, like, and this isn't to limit Jesse by any means. Like he has his specialties, yes, but he also has thought about things because I've interacted with him. Like, I think it was his channel or someone else, and like it had just happened to be a collab where like it was either Fabio's or Dan's, um, or Capital Mindset. Uh, and I asked him things like portfolio management or like a retirement glide path, and like he's outlined what he has for himself, and it seems reasonable. And I think that's really really cool. I don't think enough people think about stuff like that. Um, so yeah, like that is something that you don't necessarily want to limit one person from. Just more so, I think like interacting, having some good questions of what do you think, or what's the goal, and like how are you going to achieve the goal? Because like if it's just like buy this, it's like okay, well someone says buy this, how long do I hold it? Um, how much should I put into it? Like if you even wanted to, or if you even should, which are really important questions to ask. Uh, and even if it works out, supposing it works out completely great, you got a winner, woohoo! Um, like you would want to manage it. Like these, this is ownership in companies. These are like we're talking stonks, we're talking bonds, we're talking like financial instruments. uh, you're not married to them. They're not your kids. I mean, like, unless you're an entrepreneur and like your company is effectively like practically your life, then maybe. But even then, like, hopefully you've incorporated or you have it structured in a way that your legal liabilities are responsibly managed. um, but so like even then, there's like separation. But anyways, that's just my opinion. Yeah. So, with that said, I think I've stretched this out way too long. I hope you all have a good one. Merry Christmas, Christmas Eve. Podaru, Podaru, to reference the intro. And I hope you all have a good one. Uh, until then, have a good one, y'all.